Hey, welcome back to another Behind the Build. We were originally supposed to do this on another vehicle. However, the customer took it home last night to enjoy it for the weekend. So we will do that one at a later date. So instead, we figured we would do a Behind the Builds and talk about this crazy guy next to me for one of our S10s in the shop. We currently have two S10s underway. So we're gonna walk around both of them. We'll start out with this crazy one and then work it our way to the one that is on the lift at the moment. Yeah, it's a crazy looking chassis. What I'm sitting on at the moment is a custom made chassis to fit all the measurements of the S10. So back here in the back, we have a Model 3 rear drive unit, rear subframe with custom QA1 coilovers here in the rear. And one of the nice reasons being able to use the subframes is we keep all that natural geometry and their factory axles that Tesla designed and built, which is a super nice feature to have. We also have a Model 3 long range battery pack right here in the middle. So we have the penthouse in the rear, and that houses, or DC to DC, the rest of the controllers and everything else. And that runs all the way up, and it's framed in a nice box coming up to our front Model 3 drive unit up here. That also utilizes the same factory subframe. This just has custom QA1 coilovers as well to give us all the ride qualities we need in a truck, since it's no longer really a Model 3. So this guy should put out, I believe it's about 600 horsepower or so. Don't quote me on that exactly, but we just got this in, just got it together. The next steps on this guy is get everything square, even, set up. We'll figure out body mounts for the cab, the bed, the whole front end, the same with wheel and tire fitment, and kind of build the whole vehicle. Once it's built, we'll take it all back apart. We'll come back and we'll go through and weld all of these main connection points for everything on the chassis. So if you look, we got these guys here, down here, right there, and pretty much everything all the way around it for all the connection points. So we'll go through, fully weld the entire chassis, retouch up all the paint, and put it all back together. Because whenever we do that, we'll drop out the subframes, drop out the battery pack, the whole 9 yards, and then we'll build the car back up from there and start doing our final install of the body, all our wheels, tires, the bed, and everything else. And well, why we've been getting the new chassis put together, we've also been working on the cab. And the cab, it's seen a lot of love recently, to say the least. It was originally a vehicle from Maine, so pretty harsh winters, and because of that, whenever you look at the rust and you're like, there's just a little bit of rust, it turns into a lot. So there happened to be a actual stop sign covering a hole in the floor. We originally thought it was just, a small hole, and then as the vehicle showed up, we started digging into it and pulled the carpet up. There was a full-on stop sign with a giant hole. So because of that, we tore apart the entire cab and had to do all new floors. Gosh, we had to do even more than that. The cab's right here. We can go through everything on it. It is all done from a fabrication standpoint. All we have left is some paint and doing the undercoating. So the underside has already been painted along with the floors. So if you take a look in here, what you'll see is there's a number of patches. So there's a patch here. The main passenger floor was all replaced. The main driver's floor and a number of other spots over there was all patched and replaced. We also have the rockers here. So the whole pretty much front of this corner on both sides of the cab, the driver's side was a bit worse, was all gone. So this entire corner, there was nothing left. You just tap it and it would just fall apart. So we cut all of that out on the upper side with the floor, the outside, and the bottom, along with the mounts. The body mount is right here. So we took all of that out, redid the floors, redid the rocker, and then put in all the body mounts again. And we also rebuilt the front end here of the bottom of the firewall to kind of just bring it all back together and get all the rust out of there. Once we got that done on both sides, we resprayed the front firewall to match accordingly. The customer might get the truck repainted black at some point, but for now we're going with the kind of patinaed rough look. Coming over here to the bed has its own fair share of rust going on. We just got in the new fender wells for the front, all the bed supports, an extra replacement piece for the bed. So game plan on this guy is to pull the bed off. We're gonna set the cab and the bed on the chassis. We'll get this chassis out of here, take some final measurements and everything that we need on this, and then we'll take this guy out to the junkyard and just get out of here because we don't need it anymore. And then from there, we will start working on all the rust repair on the bed. So we'll take out all the main cross beams. There's actually 5 cross beams, but for some reason they only sell 4. So we have to make one of the cross beams, replace a huge section, and that way we'll weld it all up, get all the surface rust off the bottom of the bed, coat it with an enamel, and do the undercoating on the bottom side of the bed. So it'll all be good to go, ready to go onto the new chassis, where then we have to work out exactly the height of what we want. It originally had about 3-inch body spacers on it. So we're gonna see if the customer still wants body spacers or if he wants it set right on the chassis. We'll actually have more ground clearance with the new chassis than we did with the original one, which is quite nice, especially in the middle. He plans on taking off-roading and doing a number of different things like that. But don't worry, we are not keeping these wheels on it. We're gonna be going to some old American racing wheels, and I believe about 31 or 32-inch tires. So there's a lot of stuff going on this truck. Once we get it all together, we'll of course build it multiple times, get everything right, and then start the wiring on it. And the wiring will go pretty quick once we get all the cooling and our AC and heat and all the nice creature comforts in and kind of really get it refined. So that's a all out crazy build. It's gonna be insane for off-roading. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have this guy. This is the white S10 that Cameron is working on at the moment. And it is the polar opposite of the black S10. Not even just color-wise, it is slammed to the ground. We can come around to the back real quick, a large performance drive unit in the rear that puts out 600 horsepower, and it is just gonna be wicked. You might think it does not look like a normal S10 rear end, and that is because it is actually the rear end from a BMW E30. We were trying to figure out, all right, how can we put independent rear suspension back here? The original plan was, all right, let's build custom independent suspension, kind of tube the rear end and go all out crazy on it. And then we got to thinking, we hopped on ChatGPT, tried to figure out what had the same track width and bolt pattern. And believe it or not, a BMW E30 has the exact same bolt pattern and track width of a factory S10 rear axle. So we brought that in here and started chopping it up. We had to relocate the mounts. The original mounts were on the side. We moved those to the front so then we can mount those there. And then it's kind of tough to see now, but looking back here, we also put our top caps for our coils, our shocks, and then of course mounted our motor in, added in a couple braces, and we also boxed in that section where the coil sits just to add more rigidity and reinforcements in the frame, because it originally had the leaf spring that was all the way back here. So we had to box that in just so it was safe. Cameron is currently working on the main battery box. So very similar to that build is the main pack is also in between the frame rails. Unfortunately, we don't have as much room as we do in the other one. So this box will house 9 batteries in it, and it will have 5 laying flat in the middle, 4 stacked up in the rear. We're currently mounting it to all the brackets. So we're drilling all the holes, getting it all lined up, and getting all of those mounted. So then we can move the box out, bolt all the brackets on. We're gonna build the box completely. So we already have the manifolds done. We have all the low voltage and all the high voltage systems completed on that. You might be able to see it, but if you come up to the front, you'll see our low voltage connectors are cooling, and you might be able to get up and in there and see some of the inside of the box. That is all together and wired and pretty much ready to go. So it is on its last leg for getting the fitment on it, bolting it up, tearing it out, build and test the whole box, just like the front box over here. So over here on the front box, we have 7 modules, and this is completely built out. We just finished testing on it. We have to terminate a few wires and test the BMS. But high voltage test and cooling test is all good. Just need to do the low voltage test. And then this guy will be good to go. So from there, we'll put the lid on, seal this whole box up. It's already passed everything. We'll give it the green check, and then we'll set it to the side until it is ready to go into the S10. So over here, we have all our main bus bars, and then our 2-watt going up to our 2 high voltage connectors. So on these high voltage connectors, on the front box, we'll have our main negative. That will go all the way into the rear box. Well, not too far actually, just right down to the rear box to the main negative contactor. And then the other one will also go into the rear box, and that will go to module 8 to continue the series. So it's wired in 16 modules, so it's a 16S all in series. So this one will go to the 8th module. That will go all the way down to the end to the 4 that's stacked, and then you'll get your main positive that you'll run back up to the high voltage junction box, and from there you'll split off all your power. So motor, negative, positive, all your charger stuff, your DC to DC, cabin heater, and pretty much everything you need will just go from the front of that box and run it off. So once we get our battery boxes built and put together, we always test them for at minimum a day, just to make sure there's no leaks, no issues. Because once you get these sealed up, if you have a leak, your batteries are going to turn into a fishbowl, and electricity and water, they're not too good of friends. So back here we have our manifolds. So we have our inlet manifold, you can tell by all the green clips on this side, and then our outlet manifold with all the yellow clips on this side. It is actually still hooked up from testing. So we just hooked up the 2 connectors, tossed it onto a Tesla pump and a good old bucket of water, and literally just ran the system all day yesterday, and checked it throughout the day to make sure nothing was leaking, make sure there was no pinholes in the manifolds, make sure everything was perfect, because no matter how hard you try, sometimes there might be a small hole in the middle of the hose that could have happened whenever it was at the store or whatnot. So we love to test it for a very long time to make sure it's good to go. And since it's passed, we'll close up this side, we'll test low voltage on that side, and then we're good to go from there on this point. And so once we're done with that box, we will in turn do the exact same thing. So all the batteries for the back box are back here. We already have all our bus bars made, all the manifolds are made, and all the low voltage is made, even plumbed all the connectors. So we're gonna have our main 2 connectors that you saw in the front for high voltage and low voltage, along with our motor connectors in the rear for high voltage and our additional low voltage. So everything will be pretty much plumbed out of this box. So you'll see the 2 connector holes right there for the 2 high voltage connectors, our low voltage connector hole over here, which we're still waiting on that fitting to put the holes in for it. But the nice thing about this design is, since it is all completely built and comprised in that main box, if we ever have any issues or anything we need to assess, we can assess a number of things from the outside, but if it really comes down to it, we'll drop that box out, pop all the plugs off, and open it up. And then we can just change out anything we need to and easy access everything, and then put it back in with a matter of, gosh, I think the first time we put it in and took it out, it took us about 30 minutes. So dropping it out, putting it in 30 minutes isn't too bad from a maintenance standpoint. So yeah, the white S10 is really coming together. It's currently being wired as well. Adam is running all the wires in this guy, so we can try and get it on the road here soon. The goal is to get this guy out on the road and do some crazy videos with the 600 horsepower and the weight balance. It's gonna be wicked. So get this guy out on the road soon, and then we're gonna focus on getting the other S10 on the road not too long after that. Of course, we have a number of builds in between. Jude is still out there, well, currently charging, but waiting on Nax pins, and then Jude will be going home. I believe the customer is actually going to take it home this weekend just to kind of drive around and enjoy it while we're still waiting on those pins. Moving back here, some videos to come will be this black bug. It's a 55 rag top, I believe. I believe it's 55, don't quote me on that. It is a rag top, beautiful bug. We will be doing a number of things to this. It's already converted, so just updating a few things, batteries and different things like that. We'll also be getting our Fiero back on the road and converting the Corvair. The Corvair is gonna get a 400 horsepower performance Model 3 drive unit. So stay tuned for those 3 videos to come on those cars once we get them on the road, and plenty more videos on the white S10 and the black S10. It's just a matter of time.